Welcome to Distance to the Pin, a performance-driven golf podcast for youth golfers and parents who want more than just swing tips.
I'm Anne, alongside my son, John. He's a 12-year-old competitive junior golfer and the 2025 Spring Under Armour U11 All New England champion. But more importantly, he's learning what it actually takes to grow in this game. This show is all about the habits you build, the way you train, and how you think under pressure, ultimately supporting those youth athletes for the long run. Today's episode is about getting to know John, how he got into golf, what keeps him motivated, and what he's learned so far along his journey. Whether you're a young golfer or a parent supporting one, this is where it all begins. Now, to be clear, John's very early in this process. He's learning what works, what doesn't, and how to handle parts of his golf game that don't necessarily always show up on his scorecard. We started this podcast because there aren't many places where young golfers can hear what development actually looks like as it's happening. So if you're a player trying to improve or a parent trying to support their journey, you're in the right place. Now, let's get into it. John, welcome to your show.
It's great to be here. Really excited to kick this podcast off with you.
All right. Before we get into anything technical skill, which we know is not necessarily my strong suit, I'll leave that to Dad. I want to go, for our listeners, all the way back to the beginning and talk about how this journey actually started for you. So let's rewind for a second, shall we?
Yes.
What's the very first time that you remember holding a golf club?
Probably 5 years old when I had this red golf club. It was very tiny. You know, like golf club this big, rubber grip with those circular things like this. And I used to swing it for hours in the garage. And that's really what got me into golf for the most part.
And what about your favorite memory growing up?
Well, I'm in Orchards. They have this golf camp, and I remember going, and that really attached me to the game.
Yeah, it's really funny because I'll try to find the image of you. You probably don't remember, but there was a time after the camp that Chris went over, my husband, and tried to teach Johnny how to chip a ball. And John's Puma hat is tilted
like this. I was like this.
Cocked to the side, his hands up like this. He's looking at Chris, and Chris is like dead hard, like, I'm going to teach you how to do this. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was literally like this.
I'm going to have to find it so we can put it in this video recording because
you should put this on Instagram.
it was epic. And you would have wondered if he would ever play again. And yet here he is, probably, 8 years later, still playing. And
also, there's another memory. It was after you guys got me chocolate soft serve on a cone, and I had this big chocolate all over my mouth.
Oh, yeah. The ice cream is definitely still part of your routine.
Ice cream is a stepping stone in my golf career.
I will say, as an Italian, we are very food motivated. Maybe you can relate. Ice cream and some sort of sweet treat after is necessity. It's part of why we do what we do, of course. What about TPC? What's that been like for you?
TPC is really like the next level for me. You know, I got there and I was like really into golf, but then we did these like 9-hole tournaments and it was just, I was scoring 12s on holes. I was crying, it's blowing up. And then like after that, I was like, screw it. I'm going to try to be the best I can because I know I don't want to feel like that again.
Yeah, I think that they do a great job over at TPC, and I know we had seen the Travelers there right shortly before we joined, and we were excited to give you the opportunity to use professional facilities for your training, and obviously that comes with the course and the level of that course. We won't talk about the Travelers just yet, but the Festview, particularly around June, is significantly different than other times of the year.
Have you ever seen like wheat in a field? It looks like that, but it's like this tall.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere.
Yeah, we've had clients of mine literally injure themselves. So you do have to be careful. Obviously, the goal is to not get it in there, right?
Yeah, the goal is to keep it in the fairway.
But yeah, TPC was great for you. I can remember we used to go to dinner there after you guys would play, and we'd have to take Johnny off of the green. The sun is setting. We had ordered dinner. We turn around. John's gone, not at the table anymore. And we look out over the balcony, and he's got his little putter, and he's practicing on the green right by the first tee. And those are the types of moments where I knew something special was happening. It wasn't necessarily just something you did for fun. You had this excitement in your eye, and I could just tell that you had a passion for it. And that was pretty cool. Talk to us about the game of golf, because obviously it's very humbling. It's an individual sport. You can practice for hours at a time, and some days you got it and some days you don't.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, like, did you love golf right away? Like, what clicked? What changed that allowed you to kind of fall in love with it?
After that week at Lyman, I really started to appreciate golf more often. I felt like it wasn't a chore, like some weird hockey game where men just hit the ball around. It's more of like a game where you could be the best in the world one day and be in last place the next weekend. It's really upon how you mentally control it, and I really like that part of the game, because it's not how talented you are, it's how you put the ball in the hole at the end of the day.
Yeah, and put up a score. That's challenging for some. I hear that, and I think back to, my collegiate days, and when I was on a team, I played field hockey. So if there were days where I didn't necessarily have, there were other teammates that could lift me up. Whereas when you're out there, you're out there. And it's just you and the course and the ball, and you got to find a way to put up a score without having a blow up hole impact the rest of your round. Let's transition to, what do you think from a mindset perspective, as you say, has been so helpful in allowing you to continue to show up for yourself and enjoy the process that you're on right now?
So really, before I started doing tournaments, there was no pressure. You'd hit balls on the range, think you're half decent. Honestly, the thing that really humbled me was the first tournament. It was a U.S. Kids tournament. I think I've played in one of those in my life, two of them. And the first tournament, I came out there, played Goodwin Park, and man, I just all over the place, wasn't playing well. And on top of that, my head had exploded after the first hole. And then Dad, being like brand new caddy, had no idea what to say. Because he's never experienced what to do. And he was like, if you don't pull it together, we're going to pull you right off this course. Yeah,
I think that's a really common misconception about parenting in terms of youth sports is, how do I support my kid? And at that point, you're right, he had no experience. And you look around us and there are parents screaming at their children on the golf course,
yes,
throwing clubs at the golf bag. And I was mortified. I was like, this can't be. What is going on? So it was at that point right away that we realized that how we approach your mental development was equally important as the skills that you're getting. And I think one of the biggest lessons we learned initially was that car ride home. And we had read an article in some youth sports magazine, and it was talking about just being positive with your athlete and letting them come to you and talk about their experience. Because and I can remember from my own childhood, even with best intentions, my parents saying, oh, well, you could have done this, or why didn't you do that? And you missed that goal, or whatever it is. It negatively impacts your confidence level.
You feel bad and you get nervous that you're going to not do well and get yelled at again.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that.
So we'll talk a lot about the mindset of a parent in another episode, because I want this truly to be focused on you. But I do agree, in the beginning, there was a lot of trial by fire in terms of what you were expected to do and the role that I don't think we realized at the time, if I were to speak for my husband for a second, that parents play in allowing their athlete to develop, right? And supporting them in a way where, knowing that you're going to face adversity, you have the support to take risks while also feeling safe enough to take them in an environment where you can keep coming back. Otherwise, like, what's the point, right? How many times have we had a conversation with you like, why do you want this? Or what's the point of you working so hard? Or what are you driving towards,
like,
right?
What's the point in you practicing if you why don't you want to practice? And then that really does make you think, because if you're the youth golfer and your parents are like, why don't you go do double your putts today or something, and you don't do them, and they like find out and they're like, why didn't you do them? Part of you says you're lazy, and that's lack of discipline.
That's a good point.
So like, if you have this big tournament coming up and you're really nervous about it, and your parents tell you to do extra, but you come home from school and you're like very tired, or you were at a pool party with your friends instead of practicing, like stuff like that piles up until you become lazy, or you have so much forgotten stuff that doing the bare minimum doesn't get you where you want to go and where you need to be.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We have had many conversations about your goals aligning with the behaviors that would allow you to be successful. And if you choose to make decisions, because everything is a decision, to not putt or practice your drive or do a practice round or journal before you go out there, all of those tiny decisions, those micro decisions, which seem insignificant in the moment, directly impact your ability to progress over the course of 9 holes, 18 holes, a season, a year. And that's really what we'll be driving home with the parents when we think about the skills that the athletes need, but more importantly, the skills that the parents need. In the beginning, I mean, Lila went out this past summer for a 30-yard program, which I think is brilliant, because the concept is, a lot of people, if they can't get the ball up the tee, get frustrated because they have no control over where the ball is going to go, let alone getting it up. So this program actually reverse engineers. It starts with you being 30 yards away from the hole and working towards it and trying to get it there within 3 strokes, I believe is what it was.
I think it was like 7.
Was okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the goal then became for the parents to caddy their kids. Well, okay. I thank God I had you where I could pull clubs from experience, but I had no idea what I was doing. I was thrown into this environment. Lila had 1 practice for an hour prior to that. And my parental involvement was, to my mind, extremely involved. And the same is true for your practice schedule. It's not a team sport where you can drop your kid off at the soccer field and say, see you in 2 hours. They don't know what they need to work on at 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. John's getting significantly better now with self-regulation and correction, but in the beginning, there is a lot more involvement than initially I think we had anticipated. And then on the flip side of it, you fast forward, he's 12, and John's coach was like, hey, you need to not go caddy John for 9 holes. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? I can't go with my son? Let him be a boy and go play with those 3 other kids and let him have a good time. And I'm like, oh, but he's going to get tired. He's not going to know what club to pick here. He's going to lose his mind and I can't help him. Yes, and that's the point. So there goes from a period where you are heavily invested in the routine and the practice schedule and the caddying of kids to now John over the past summer has practiced without us, has competed without us, posts a score and a card and then tells us how he did after. It is terrifying, but it is such an important developmental process that I think that you've gone through that, again, we can spend another day talking about. But I just wanted to mention that now just to get the parents' brains thinking about where am I on this process and this journey with my own child? And am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? And how do I, from a positive behavioral side of things, support my kid knowing that this is an extremely difficult sport? let's move on to one of my favorite topics. When we think about the game of golf, and having been at the Travelers now, blessed for years, we've gotten to see a lot of professional athletes. Who is your favorite? I already know, but for your audience, who is your favorite professional golfer and why?
Ricky Fowler. So I really like him, and I've got around 5 reasons.
Okay.
The first one being he's one of the coolest dressed guys.
That I would agree. I would agree with that very much.
He could be 80 over or 9 under, and you couldn't tell the difference. Like, you just couldn't tell. We saw him in person. He shanked his second shot on hole 1 into the fescue, then chunked it onto the green.
Yep.
2-putted for, or like a double. It was like a double bogey. And no emotion on his face. Like, at all. He is one of those players who almost, like, a lot of people look up to, because he's that type of player who donates to charities, does stuff outside of it. I mean, he's like the coolest guy on tour.
I would agree with you, obviously. I think Rick is, he's just a class act. He carries himself with such charisma. And we've had the fortunate opportunity, how many years? 2 or 3 years now?
Yeah, 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row to meet Rick, although we did have a 3-year dry spell, which if I can embarrass myself for just a moment, I can't believe I'm going to share this story, but it had to have been one of our first years.
It was second year. It's 2 years.
Oh, no. I think okay. So it was
Second year.
Okay, fine. It was the second year of Travelers, and obviously we know the course like the back of our hand. We were in between holes 3 and 4, correct? 3 and 4.
No, it was on, are we talking about the pen?
No, I'm not even talking about the pen. That was a different year. that Ricky story, I think we should pin that for a while. I don't want to. I'm talking about, it was between, I know when I saw Allison Fowler.
Oh, yeah, that was first year.
Okay. So we're going to say it's year 2 or 3. Okay. And we're in between holes 3 and 4. There's a little wiggle room here.
Yeah.
And we see Allison Fowler. Chris tells me that she's up ahead, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am such a fan of Allison Fowler. She, back in her day, huge pole vaulter, tremendous athlete herself, beautiful individual. And I was like, it would be really weird if I were to go say hi to her. So I pawned my, at the time, 8-year-old. At the time, she was 8 years old, and I'm like, I need you to go up to this woman and just say hi to her and tell her that we are big fans of her husband.
At the time, I didn't know who she was.
So here we go. So Lila walks up. She's like, I'm not going without you. And I'm like, great, because I want to come. And we walk up to Allison Fowler, and she taps her on the back. She turns around, and Lila says, hi, I'm Lila Svogun. I am a big fan of Ricky Fowler. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet of you. She's like, I got to tell you, I've been waiting to see Ricky and get his signature for 2 years, and I haven't been able to. Like so sassy. And Allison looked at her like, I cannot believe you just said that, but that's really funny. And she starts laughing. And she was like, well, she's like, Rick hasn't been playing well the last couple of years. He was shooting something like a 60, a 59. Remember it was a day like he was on fire.
60. Yeah,
he was on fire that day.
He had a shot at a 59.
So she's like, I have a feeling that he is going to sign today because he's going to make the cut, blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, I'll make sure to tell him to come find you at the signing place. And Lila's like, okay, thank you very much. And we walk away, and I'm fangirling so hard. And so after the round, because again, TPC has a little section where the clubhouse is, where the players come down and they have the little interview tents. We knew he was going to get interviewed. And at that time, we start to see Ricky coming down. And I'm now in full Ricky Fowler's coming. He's like 10 yards from us mode, like mom mode. And like, again, I've got my little kids in front of me. I want to make sure that Ricky sees them. So I start like waving like Ricky, right? Like this. And I feel a tap on my shoulder and I'm like,
go away.
I don't know who you are. I also don't care who you are. I am laser locked on Rick Fowler. We're going to get his signature.
And then she gives it to Lila, right?
No. So it gets better. I finally, she taps again. I turn around and it was Allison Fowler. She had come from the clubhouse through security down the gated area to where we were and hands a personally signed golf ball from Ricky Fowler.
Yo, should I go get it? It's upstairs.
No, don't go get it right now. So it was so cool because she gives it to the kids and she's like, I know that he's going to sign your flag, but we wanted you to have this. And at that very moment, I already knew that I loved both of them as like just genuine. They seem like they carry themselves as like very humble individuals. But it was the coolest thing because there were like 12 kids around John and they all stop and look and they're like, what do you know that we don't like? How did this happen? Right?
Yeah, he still follows me on Instagram.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So yeah, so we got his signature that year and a picture, right? You got a picture. And then the following year, very similar location, I should say. And
it was the same day.
No.
Yes, it was. It was the same day. Because you were locked on Ricky and you're like, get the pen.
So like Ricky was coming towards us and I have like this little purse and you try to like squish as many things as you can in there, right? Because you don't want to be carrying a big thing, whatever. If you're not a woman, like you don't know my struggles, but if you are, you know. So we have this like permanent marker that we have all of the athletes sign on this like flag, right, of TPC. And I see Rick coming down, even though we're literally waited 45 minutes to an hour for him to come. It wasn't like we were prepared by any means. So then when I see him, I'm like, hey, Johnny, get the pen. He's coming. Get the pen.
It wasn't like that. It was like this. Get the pen. Oh my God, the pen. He's coming.
Yeah. So we got the signature. We didn't scare him.
I would be scared. He after he took that picture in his head, he's probably like, get this crazy.
I will say, I think that you remind me a lot of him. I think the way that you carry yourself, obviously you only wear Puma because of Rick, but I'm going to be better, guys. My goal this year, 2026, is to not embarrass Johnny when we see Rick.
It's not even embarrassing me. It's like embarrassing the family.
Oh, God.
So that pen is probably scared for next year.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I promise I will conduct myself with a little bit more restraint. But I will tell you that we did get an amazing tour of the Puma Cobra truck. Yes. You got to go in and check out Rick's locker. You got to see JJ Spawn's locker, Max Homa's locker. You got to see where they make the club. Like, I still cannot believe.
We got to see Ricky's bag.
We got to see Ricky's bag. It's like, so there was a lot of positive despite my over excitement for you to get close to Ricky.
Literally, Mom goes up to the people in the Puma Cobra truck and says, I'm a Puma affiliate. Let me in.
I didn't say it like that.
Yeah. No, you didn't. But like basically, like you go up to the security guard and you're like, I'm part of Puma.
Which is true.
It is true. And
I wasn't lying.
And then no, you're not. You're a Puma affiliate. And then we got to go in. We got to meet the guys there.
They gave you snacks.
They did not give us.
They have candy.
They had candy.
Like they literally just have like an entire cabinet full of it. They have cabinet full of it, and then they have drawers filled with it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like you'd think they had grips in there. Nope. They had all their stuff was like, this is the truck, right? Ricky's bag's over there. Club making like islands. And then there's lockers over here. And then all of this is just candy.
Yeah.
Like all of it. It was awesome.
It was a really cool experience. Thanks, Puma and Cobra, for hooking us up with that.
Yes.
So we're going to move on from Rick for just a second, although we both know I could talk about him for quite some time.
Okay.
I think he's off to a really good start in 2026. I like what I'm seeing from him. He finished T18, right?
He did.
So we'll keep an eye on him. I really hope that he comes over to the Traveler. It's one of his favorite events, along with the lemonade, and they're amazing
Pretzels.
amazing pretzels. But let's talk about. I mean, Rick had some adversity last year, and I think it was pretty symbolic of some adversity that you faced as well with your swing, and maybe it being a little bit more inconsistent than you would have liked. What is some advice or some strategies that you can give to someone who may be struggling or going through a swing change that has been helpful to you?
Keep practicing. Like, just never give up on yourself, because the world just wants to shut you down. Don't let it. You know, you might not have the most money, you might not have all the resources, but work with what you got. I've really just cannot give up on yourself.
Yeah, I would agree. I think handling pressure and staying in the moment, not letting it get too big or a situation become out of control is what's allowed you to excel the way that you did during Under Armour. And what I loved about your Under Armour success is that when you started 2025, you had a goal of not just playing in Under Armour, but winning outright. And the way that you do that is a collective score over the course of a season. So for you to do that is impressive, knowing that you did face adversity and you were able to not compare yourself to others, although it would have been very easy to see who was shooting, low that day, and accepting that improvements are maybe a little bit slower than we want. But that's why keeping the club in your hand and being consistent and showing up and staying patient is part of that process too. So has there been a situation where a round just didn't go as planned, and how do you handle those bad rounds?
I'll allow it. I'll allow myself to be frustrated, and I'll actually get more frustrated than I need to. And then as soon as I walk up to that next shot, it's over. You know, brain of a goldfish. Doesn't matter if you hit it 3 feet. You have 3 feet to be mad. No going back. 1 or 2 bad shots, 1 bad year. Doesn't define who you are as a person. Doesn't define who you are as a golfer. It tells you what you need to do better.
For sure.
But
that's really good advice. So you can still be frustrated with a shot or a particular hole that maybe you scored higher on than you would have liked.
yes.
But you're allowed to sit in that anger, that emotion until you get to the next tee box, in which case you have amnesia like a goldfish. And then you kind of move from there. What's something behind the scenes that people may not know or see that's really been helpful to you?
Doing what you're not told to. So, like I said in the examples for the parents, like doubling up practice before like big tournaments and stuff. Doing extra. Instead of doing the bare minimum, you can do double that, or even like quadruple that. Just do more than expected, because you can't expect to half draw a coloring sheet and get an 100 on the assignment. You have to fully do the assignment to get the 100. And if you're really important and you really think about it, you do extra. So even if you don't do one spot right, you have backup. You also have to do efficient practices. Like, I can say you do extra reps, but like if the reps aren't like meant, like if you have 100 swings and you do 100 swings, like you do 115 swings but they're sloppy, that's not good. If you do 75 good, controlled, maybe even slower so you can get a feel down swings, it's end up being better than the 115. So that's also good, because you don't need a higher number.
That's a good point. So it's doing more than the bare minimum, but doing so with the intention behind what you're looking to achieve. And I love that, because there's a saying that I'm working on this year, which is be where your feet are. I'm pulled in a million directions, as are you guys. You're in school, then you're in sports, then, play practice, whatever it is that you have. It's easy to let your mind wander. But if you can be very intentional and focused on the drill and the skill that you're looking to improve, that's going to be significantly more valuable than just whacking a ball and saying that you practice and then moving on your day and checking the box. So obviously, not everything goes the way we do want it to go, but on those rare occasions that you're able to string along success and look back at your accomplishments, what's been one that you're particularly proud of?
Definitely winning the Under Armour Junior Tour. I really feel like that was a pivotal moment in my career because that gave me confidence of like I can do whatever I put my mind to, because it wasn't necessarily give up on golf, but like I was in that state of the game where you feel lost. Because that year prior, I was like first year of golf, right? You're nervous, didn't go so well, and I was really disappointed because I'd always finish around 8th out of that 16th. And I was like, why am I always being average? And then I just like took the entire off season to just work out, hit golf balls. And then here comes spring. And it was very exciting because I would hit a not necessarily far drive, but it would go far enough where on par 5s I could reach in 3. And if I wasn't on the green on 2 on a par 5, I had like a chip shot.
Yeah.
And the par 3 irons weren't there because the swing's still developing. But outside of that, it was really strung together. It was like not professional golf. It's like that golf you see when you're watching high school golf. It was like a decent tee shot in the fairway, a good enough iron to get me within either a green and regulation. And I had arguably the best short game in the entire field.
Yeah. Like
up and downs were like everything. And I wasn't nervous to play in these tournaments. I was more excited.
That's good.
It was more, I want to see what I can do today. Instead of worried about a bogey, I was more excited about a birdie. Because most of the time, the rounds would start with like a birdie or a par.
Yep.
And it would be like string it all together. Because this is what my golf swing probably looks like right now. It just needs that. So I'm very close.
So for those of you just listening, and you can't see the YouTube video, he is pointing his fingers down and he's trying to extend them straight into a straight line.
Wiggly lines right now. We've got wiggly lines.
Yep.
That are almost fully connected. And then they are connected. So I'm very close to what I used to be not so far or not so long ago.
Amazing. And I think what showed us as parents how far you've come was these tournaments are usually 9 holes and you had a 18-hole round that day to qualify to win the actual Under Armour championship, which was incredible.
The only fuel I had for the back 9 was some chicken tenders, lemonade.
We're going to talk about nutrition. No, do not even breach that subject right now. We will talk about nutrition, I promise. But knowing what I know, that is even more impressive for sure. What would you say you learned after it was all over?
You always want more. It's like a battle that never ends. You always want more. Scotty Scheffler wins one golf tournament, and in his head, he's like, all right, time to go get another one.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool after Rory had the Grand Slam, and he had recently won the Masters, and they had interviewed him about what his experience had been like how are you feeling? Like, you're basically untouchable. And he looks at the guy and he says, I was laying in bed and I woke up the next day and I realized I still had to brush my teeth. I still had to work out. I felt no different. It didn't change who I am. It doesn't change the way that I need to practice, and it won't change the way that I continue to show up for this game. So I thought that was a really great reminder, because I think we associate winning with this untouchable feeling, and once we get it, like that's it.
Yeah, we could just end it. But no sport is like that.
Yeah. So let's ask you one more question, this time directed to our youth golfers listening to you. If you were to give a piece of advice that you wish that you had known sooner, what would that be?
Consistency matters. I mean, you're not going to be great right away. Just enjoy the process. Outcome goals will come. Wins will come. And all the improvement you will make is not just going to happen in one day. Won't become Scotty Scheffler overnight.
Yeah, and even Scotty will tell you he practiced for over a year.
Until we started seeing results.
Yeah, so it's such a great reminder. Amazing, John. Thank you so much. And for all of you listening at home, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Distance to the Pin. If you found this valuable, it would mean the world to both of us if you left a 5-star review so that more content like this could be made for you. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. New episodes will drop as much as we can.
As much as we can.
So
until then, have an awesome day. Peace.